Hi, here I wanted to briefly comment on the recent interview of Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov by Tucker Carlson in Moscow. By looking at their body language, can we understand better how serious the current conflict between the US or NATO and Russia is, and whether the Ukrainian proxy war could further escalate? Here we go.
Minister Lavrov, thank you for doing this. Do you believe the United States and Russia are at war with each other right now?
I wouldn't say so, and in any case, this is not what we want.
He's completely absent-minded, no mimics. He appears distracted, there are delays, there are pauses, he uses vague language. It is quite clear that he's reading off a teleprompter or some notes. So here he is looking in the direction of the teleprompter, squinting even, and he takes his time to read it off. So if someone is firing rockets at your country, don't you think you're at war at this point? So here we can see immediately, after 12 seconds into the interview, that all is a show. Both sides collude to start World War III, most likely other countries as well. The goal is to eliminate people, in fact most people, for a great reset. Let's look at this again.
Minister Lavrov, thank you for doing this. Do you believe the United States and Russia are at war with each other right now?
I wouldn't say so, and
So he's reading off, squinting.
in any case, this is not what we want. We would like to have normal relations with all our neighbors, of course, but
He was shaking his head. He's using shoulder shrugs. That's incongruent. It's very vague body language in such an important moment.
generally, with all countries on earth, especially with the great country like the United States, President Putin repeatedly expressed his respect for the American people, for the American history, for the American achievements in the world, and we don't see any reason why Russia and the
So he's shaking his head again. So an honest person would have got to the point very quickly, would not beat around the bush, explaining that their country is under attack currently, and addresses immediately instead of using empty phrases and buying time. So the scam only works because you see Tucker Carlson playing along, and so the bigger the lie, the bigger the scam, the more easy it goes because it's outrageous to call it out. No one would believe you.
United States cannot cooperate for the sake of the universe.
But the United States...
So when you see Tucker Carlson now concentrated and focusing and serious, you think it's real. You can't imagine that there's a teleprompter sitting next to him and that Lavrov is reading off that and that it's all staged. It's an illusion. And when you zoom out, you see just the two guys sitting here and you don't see a teleprompter. So again, you think this is real.
is allowing attacks on Russia itself, so that doesn't constitute war?
We...
There's a huge pause, a huge delay. He's completely absent-minded. At this moment, he would be angry, you would expect, if the country is under attack. And he doesn't find the right words at this moment because he's just concentrating on the reading and he's squinting the eyes.
officially are not at war. But what is going on?
Blah, 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 blah. Let's go to a couple of different points. It doesn't change during the interview.
Exterminated by series of legislation passed by the Ukrainian parliament, and they started long before the special military operation, since 2017.
So now he had to concentrate to read off since 2017. He's obviously reading it off at this moment. He's focusing his eyes. Let's go to a different point in the interview.
By the way, recently they already
So he's still reading off.
violate tacitly the concept, nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. There are passes, there are messages. They know our position. We are not playing double game. What Putin announced is the goal of our operation. It's fair. It's fully in line with the United Nations Charter. first of all, the rights, language rights, minority rights, national minority rights, religious rights, and it's fully in line with
Who do you think has been making foreign policy decisions in the United States? This is a question in the United States. Who is making these
I
decisions?
wouldn't guess. I haven't seen Tony Blinken for years. 2 years ago, I think, at the G20 summit, was it in Rome or somewhere? In the margins. His assistant, I was representing Putin, and his assistant came up to me during a meeting and said that Tony wants to talk just for 10 minutes. I left the room, we shook hands, and he said something about the need to de-escalate and so
He's still reading off.
on and so forth. I hope
Even so, you would imagine he's just tapping into his memory.
he's not going to be angry with me since I'm disclosing this. But we were meeting in front of many people present in the room. And I said, we don't want to escalate. You want to inflict strategic defeat upon Russia. He said, no. It is not strategic defeat globally. It is only in Ukraine.
You've not spoken to him since? Have you spoken to any officials in the Biden administration since then?
I don't want to ruin their career.
But have you had meaningful conversations?
No.
So they rather send 10,000s of people into war than picking up the phone. Here, all of a sudden, he acts like a schoolboy who is intimidated and doesn't want to talk to anyone at one of these conferences. Or said no one wants to talk to him. Very unbelievable. So it's also worth noting that Lavrov lived in New York City for several years in the 1980s when he worked for the UN at a diplomatic level. So he knows the American culture extremely well. And that's why he speaks so well. And now he pretends, he can't speak to anyone and it's so difficult and so on. So, yeah, there's not a lot to say. In summary, to me at least, it's pretty clear that this is all a show. It's just a fake staged interview. It's quite clear that the US and Russia are colluding. The interview pretends that there's only alternative media which bridges the gap, that there's Tucker Carlson who makes an effort to prevent war. It's just a massive distraction. It's hard to prevent the war when both sides collude to have a war. At least that's what it currently looks like to me. Of course, as usual, I don't know the truth. I just observe and deduce. And I don't think this is particularly difficult looking at this interview. As usual, I thank you very much for watching and I hope you got something out of it and that is useful. I'm looking forward to reading your comments and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.